The Dallas Cowboys obviously beat the New York Giants in Dallas 44-20. Dak Prescott goes for 302, 3 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott goes for 110 yards and a touchdown. And I mean, the Cowboys just looked absolutely unstoppable for the majority of this game. Unfortunately, Daniel Jones gets knocked out of this game with a concussion. Saquon Barkley leaves this game with an ankle sprain. Update on that but just about an hour ago, they did rule it a low ankle sprain, just a lot of swelling. So Saquon has been ruled week to week. They expect him to miss just a minimum of one game, which would be next week's game, and they expect him to be back the following. But of course, they're not going to rush their star back. Like I said, Daniel Jones gets knocked out of this game. So I mean, Kyle, did the injuries mounting up really kind of like skew New York's opportunity to come back, or is Dallas just really that good?
No, Dallas is just that good. Offensively, they are just firing on all cylinders. And that was despite the fact that I thought Dallas got off to a really slow start. Dak got picked off on his first drive of the game, and I believe they only scored 3 points in the first quarter. So it didn't really get going for Dallas's offense until really the second quarter, and then they just kind of blew it open in the second half. But Kevin, I got to talk about one factor that is probably the unsung hero for the Dallas Cowboys and their offense specifically, and that is their offensive line. Their offensive line has been sensational this year. I was trying to come up with a different adjective to kind of properly describe how good they've been. They've been phenomenal. The amount of running lanes that they are giving Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard are just amazing. And not only that, the holes that these guys are getting to run through, they are literally a man to a man and a half wide. I mean, these are easy running lanes where they don't even have to make a cut. They could just run through the gap, whether it's the A, B, or C gap, and just exploit it and possibly pull off 8-9 yards a carry if the gaps are there. So just a great rushing performance from the Cowboys once again. Believe as a team they ran over 200 yards rushing again. Just that combo between Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. No team has really been able to stop it outside of Tampa in the first week of the season. It just seems to be growing more in confidence every single week. I mean, it worked against the Eagles 2 weeks ago. It worked against the Panthers last week. And it's just more of the same in this Giants matchup. And I thought Dak, despite the slow start, ended up having a relatively solid day. 22 of 32, throwing for over 300 yards, and had 3 touchdowns. And it was also kind of nice to see CeeDee Lamb kind of pop up back into the production stats again. He kind of fallen off the last couple of weeks, but he came in nice today with 4 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. Also, Dalton Schultz is apparently one of Dak's favorite targets. He had a nice solid day as well with 6 receptions and 79 yards. When I look at this offense is just loaded with weapons across the board. And Dak has looked amazing this year, coming off of a terrible knee injury against this Giants team. Excuse me, thank you. This ankle injury that he had against the Giants last year. And he has been playing phenomenal football. He's getting time to sit in the pocket. He's being efficient in most of the games that he's played the entire year. And it's resulting in wins for Dallas. So offensively, I mean, this team is humming on all cylinders. They've scored 40. They scored 44 in this game. They scored, I believe, 41 against the Eagles. And they scored 36 against Carolina last week. So, I mean, the team is averaging almost 40 points a game in the last 3 games that they've played in. I don't know how any defense is going to be able to stop that when you have weapons across the board in Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Dalton Schultz as well. And then you got Dak playing the way that he's playing at. Good luck trying to stop that. And defensively, it's Trayvon Diggs. He's unbelievable. This dude is just a ball-hawking safety. I mean, you got to start putting the name out there that just, this is Diggs Island. And nobody's going to be able to touch him because he's got 6 interceptions in the season already. They've only played 5 games. He's had an interception in the last 5 games in a row. This dude is just playing phenomenal football. And it really kind of begs the question. It's like, if this guy's a lockdown corner, why are you throwing at this guy? It's not even really worth the option. You got to find somebody in that secondary, possibly like a second or third corner that you can go at against Dallas's defense. But overall, I think Dallas had a phenomenal game. I thought the Giants, yeah, they were definitely hindered by injuries today. It didn't help that Saquon went out with that ankle injury. It didn't help that Daniel Jones went out with that concussion, and Kenny Galladay also got hurt as well. So I think he got a knee injury in that game against Dallas. So I mean, the Giants are a tire fire this year. They're not really going anywhere significant for the rest of the year, in my opinion. They're really kind of a team that's just mediocre at best, and I'm kind of being nice towards them. But Dallas is arguably one of the top two, top three teams in the NFC at this point. And with these performances that they've been showing the last couple of weeks, it proves that. And I can't believe that I'm actually saying that about Dallas. I tend to be a little bit more pessimistic just because Dallas finds a way to screw things up. But this team so far, through 5 weeks, they've been phenomenal. And I think at this point, they're probably a top 5 team in the NFL.
Hey, I've been saying it, bro. I literally said it with the lineup that they have, and obviously the defense still isn't even healthy right now. They're doing things that they could have done last season, realistically, and it's showing. I mean, they're the offensive firepower, the defense doing what they need to do. Kellen Moore's play calling has been absolutely sensational. The offensive line has been basically moving fucking heaven and earth to damn make sure that the running backs back there in Dallas have open lanes. And I mean, let's just look here. Obviously, as I already said, Ezekiel Elliott had over 100 yards, but Tony Pollard had 75 yards. The two of them averaged over 5 yards per total carry. They had 200 yards on the ground today, averaging 5.2 per carry. Insane. In the air, as I already stated, with Dak Prescott going 22 of 32 for 302, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. He was sacked twice, but he still had a freaking passer rating of 116. Basically 117 because it was 116.9, which is just great. And he was able to distribute the ball very evenly. CeeDee Lamb had 4, Schultz had 6, Cooper had 3, Noah Brown had 3. So everybody got a little bit of piece of the action. The running backs were playing great, and the defense did what they needed to do. Granted, New York, again, like we said, was ridden with a lot of injuries today and losing multiple stars. Kadarius Toney, though, their first-round pick, showed that he could carry some of that load. And he had 189 yards today with 10 receptions. Was targeted 13 total times. Unfortunately, gets ejected for throwing a punch later in the fourth quarter when it was obviously irrelevant. But the point of the matter is, he just showed with a backup quarterback that he could go out there and he could create space, separation, and do what he needs to do to assist his team in winning. And when they'd come back fully loaded, maybe the offensive mind that is Jason Garrett, he will figure out, hey, we drafted this guy in the first round for a reason. The guy's basically a mismatch nightmare because he's very quick in the slot, can play the wide out, and also run special teams, and can be utilized in some RPOs and some trick plays. Maybe we should kind of give him a little bit more some snaps, but we shall see what happens as the weeks progress. What I'm trying to say here is Dallas did what they needed to do against another bad team. But again, to put up these numbers consistently in 3 weeks does show that this offense can basically seem unguardable to the naked eye. I mean, really, you pick a poison to try to go and guard. Do you want to stack the box and give these receivers one-on-one coverage? Do you want to double these receivers on the outside, run a zone, and let Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard pretty much poke through and let this offensive line dominate the opposite side and the line of scrimmage the entire game? I don't know. I think Dallas not necessarily would be a complete package team, but when their defense gets back in terms of personnel coming back from injury, I think Dallas is going to be up there in the discussion later in this season to be competing for an NFC championship. And I know we have Tampa and we have Arizona and we have the Rams, but this team's showing, hey, don't forget about us. We're not playing the greatest of talent right now. Their one loss did unfortunately come to the Bucs. But they did play the Chargers, and they did beat them. They did play the Panthers, who were surging at the time, and they did beat them. They beat two bad NFC East teams, but both of them they dominated. They didn't just barely squeak by. They dominated them by 3+ possessions. Huge. So like I said, they're doing what they need to do. They're beating bad teams, which is what good teams are supposed to do, and Dallas is surging right now.